a good one.
You know,
But so we, you said we're
'cause that's where a lot of
three
people are.
long right now. So what we can do, we can just come out of this, we'll just intro it, come back and say, let's listen to the second part of this message, and then we'll buy that for later. Okay? For the table talk next one. So stand by. I'm gonna take this one solo, boys. Hang on. Here we go. Oh yeah, I want the music, baby.
Pull up. He's crashing. Pull up.
Flap.
Give me more flaps.
I'm going
More
in,
flaps.
Captain. got her.
Why does a kamikaze pilot wear a helmet?
Tell me that.
Good point. Oh.
Because he chose.
Choices and challenges. Because they choose to. Why does it kamikaze?
Oh, we got people looking at us. Oh, it's Jen.
Do we want guest speakers to come in?
Guest speakers.
Yeah. Hey, welcome back to Cool Church Radio with George Powell. I'm your host, Dave Proehl, in studio with Dr. George Powell, Senior Pastor at Abundant Life Church, and Dennis Quick, Associate Pastor at Abundant Life. and Dennis.
And Dennis,
is
he's
here. What does he
what
do?
the heck
I never
does
call
he
you
do?
Associate
I
Pastor.
know.
Change it.
Who is he and what does
Coming
he
out.
do?
3, 2. Welcome back to Cool Church Radio with George Powell. I'm your host, Dave Proehl, in studio today with Dr. George Powell, Senior Pastor at Abundant Life Church, and Dennis Quick, Associate Pastor at Abundant Life Church. We're in a message, George, that you taught called Living Right When Life Goes Wrong. We're looking at the life of Joyce.
Joyce?
Joyce?
Joyce? No, female version of Joseph.
We're looking for Joyce.
Joseph and Joyce.
Joyce and Joyce.
JJ.
Table talk. Joyce. Who is Karen and Sharon?
Choices
And why do they get
that
all this
Joyce
food?
made.
I think we're going to leave this one. People will love
Joyce-
it.
Yeah. Oh, they
Joyce
love
and
it.
her choices.
The choices.
They'll come just to
Joyce's-
see who are
that'll be
these
your book.
guys.
Choices. On Coffee Talk.
Coffee talk. Talk amongst yourself as Joyce makes choices.
3. Welcome back to Cool Church Radio with George Powell. I'm your host, Dave Proehl, in studio with Dr. George Powell, Senior Pastor at Abundant Life Church, and Dennis Quick, Associate Pastor. We're in this lesson that you taught called Living Right. What is so darn funny now?
I'm not
So, now
laughing.
he was.
I'm not. I'm not.
Holy crap.
I'm just laughing.
I just laugh. You can't laugh.
You just about got a sentence out.
3. Welcome back to Cool Church Radio with George Powell. I'm your host, Dave Proehl, in studio with Dr. George Powell, Senior Pastor at Abundant Life Church, and Dennis Quick, Associate Pastor. We're listening to a lesson that Dr. George, I never call you Dr. George, Dr. George Powell, Dr. Powell, Dr. Powell.
You can call me anything you want.
Doctor,
Dave.
call you. Last time. 3. Hey, welcome back to Cool Church Radio with George Powell. I'm your host, Dave Proehl, in studio with Dr. George Powell, Senior Pastor at Abundant Life Church, and Dennis Quick, Associate Pastor. We're listening to a lesson, George, that you taught called Living Right When Life Goes Wrong. This is part 2 of that message. Here's part 3. Here's part 3. Here's George. I didn't know what to say last time. We're not going to get 3 shows done today. Coming up. Can I ask him a question?
Ask me a
Thank
question.
you. Can I?
Ask
That'll
our
help.
question. Any question.
Okay. Why is your head so darn sweaty? Coming out. 3.
I need powder.
You don't need powder for the radio.
The glare.
I can't preach without powder on my head. Coming out. 3. Welcome back to Cool Church Radio with George Powell. I'm your host, Dave Proehl, in studio today with Dr. George Powell, Senior Pastor at Abundant Life Church in Happy Valley, and Dennis Quick, Associate Pastor. George, we're listening to this lesson called Living Right When Life Goes Wrong, and the topic is choices and challenges. And we're going to listen to the second part of that. But we were talking about digging our own pits sometimes through our choices. Why do we do that? What I mean, obviously we make choices all the time, but why?
Yeah, that's kind of the life goes wrong part of the whole series, Living Right When Life Goes Wrong. Sometimes life goes wrong because other people have made choices that land us in a pit. Sometimes we're in pits of our own making because we make wrong choices, but sometimes we're in pits because other people have made choices that, cause us to be kicked into a pit or find ourselves in a pit somewhere.
All right, let's go back and listen to the second part of this message. Here's Dr. George Powell.
Thank you, Lord.
He'd never get out of there.
It's a miracle.
Hey, that's like the cable got like boing. Like,
I hit the thing with my-
okay, that was